Olivier, because he was next. And that's exactly what he did. He came out tap dancing. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. The main event of this show was Kenny Olivier against Penta O Solo Mio. And I was going to zip ahead because I figured this would be the same as every other Kenny Olivier match. I started watching that entrance, and the only thing I could think was they have actually spent money on this. and after the graphics and the big buildup, the introduction by George Hamilton IV, and the dancing girls with the brooms and the lucha masks, they've spent money on this. They've spent money on the graphics. They've given it the big buildup. They've hired these two twats to come out and embarrass themselves with brooms. And out walks a guy in a fucking T-shirt and walks under the brooms. And if there are 350 million people in this country, if they were all forced to watch it, every single one besides the 750,000 who watch this show every week are saying, what in the flying French fried titty fuck is this guy doing? What's his deal? Why are the girls out there with brooms, and what the fuck is this that we're looking at? In other words, every normal human being. And did you tell me? Anyway, I watched this match. By the way, I'll tell you this, and I'll ask you this question. I watched this match because I wasn't going to, but the first move of the match was so insulting and amateurish. I got to watch this. Olivier grabs a headlock. Penta Solo Mio Mayo down on the bio, backs up into the ropes, takes one step out and shoots him off. That's a pun intended. Took one step and Olivier runs 100 miles an hour all the way to the other side of the ring. Instantly. The first fucking move of the match is an expose. Not only exposes business as being phony, but also exposes Olivier as being kicked out of every wrestling school and or developmental program he's ever been in. And Penta's doing lucha. And that's what they do. So this was hot garbage from the get-go. And am I to understand, this is the question I'm going to ask you now, is Olivier now, we're supposed to be taking him as a heel? He's the old Kenny Olivier is back. The best, greatest wrestling artist in the world. He's a heel now. We're going to see what he's all about.
I think he's clearly a heel, although obviously one of the big things that AEW, specifically Cody, has said is that AEW doesn't have any of these boring old wrestling tropes like heels and baby faces. Everyone is just a person with various complexities. With that said, I think he's clearly a heel.
Well, I got news. Cody may be right, because there is absolutely no difference in Kenny Olivier's work, whether he's a baby face or a heel, except he makes more faces, more funny, awkward faces, and does more gesticulating and finger pointing when he's a heel than he does when he's a babyface, but the match is exactly the same. He does moves. He doesn't really work like a babyface when he's a babyface. He does moves. So therefore, he doesn't work like a heel now that he's a heel. He just does moves. There's no cheating, except when he just does things that technically would be illegal, because those are things he always does, because he does moves. But was this match in any way different besides him, instead of making boo-boo faces like he normally does, he makes nasty boo-boo faces? Otherwise, was the match the same as any other match he would have ever had?
Pretty much. Hey, I got a question. A lot of guys are very defensive about their finishing maneuvers and different things they do. If traditionally, if someone did a DDT, they wouldn't want someone else coming into the territory or coming into the promotion and doing the DDT. Do you think if some other wrestler came in and started pointing and stuff, Kenny Omega would put his foot down and be like, wait a minute, I'm the one who points before I run. No one else is allowed to point and then run as fast as they can to the other side of the ring. You think he's defensive of that?
He probably would, because that's the biggest part of his arsenal. And that's probably something that he would notice. He hasn't yet noticed that he doesn't know how to apply holds properly or fucking do the basic fundamentals because he bypassed wrestling school. But he probably would notice if somebody was spinning around like a ballet dancer and fucking finger pointing and gesticulating. He'd notice that. They did the chop me, no chop me spot within minutes of the start of the match. The sock-faced fuck took 30 seconds to take his fucking glove off. I hate the chop me, no chop me to begin with. It's so stupid. And then the one thing to show he was a heel, Olivier, instead of chopping the guy back, kicks him and then starts stomping him. And I swear to God, go back now that I'm going to say this and watch after the chop me, take the glove off. When Olivier starts stomping old Penta, it looked like a ballet dancer trying to kill a cockroach. He can't punch or kick. He can flip around and do these fucking running, rolling, flippy, divey thingies. Can't fucking punch or kick. He did a dive over the top rope, sat right on Pentagon's head out on the floor. My basic summation of this match, in my experience, if you told 2 students in wrestling school, if you guys sell the most tickets to the show coming up on Saturday night, you can have any kind of match you want. This is the kind of match that they would have. Just fucking jacket there. I don't know. Anyway, then old Penta gave like that you actually give this move. Olivier gave it to himself, but Penta gave Olivier a Canadian destroyer, a flipping pile driver on the wooden ramp, then rolled him in the ring and gave him a package pile driver that looked pretty good and got a 2 count. Olivier kicked out. I said, okay, that's enough then. I fast forward to the rest of it. They went 3 more minutes, of course, after that, and Olivier won with the one-winged fairy, but I didn't care because he'd just gotten a super flipping pile driver on a ramp and then followed up with a fucking spike double arm fucking pile driver and got a 2 count, and that's enough for me. Fuck y'all. Fuck it. Especially this week. Everybody involved should be fined or suspended or horsewhipped in the public square for being an embarrassment to what used to be professional wrestling. That was my... And apparently even the viewers thought so this week because they got their ass kicked by the developmental program that apparently sucked on the other channel. Closing thoughts?
Nah, not really.